Monday night in Indianapolis didn't feel like a normal football game. It felt like a movie opening. The lights, the crowd, the anticipation, and a name no one expected to hear again under NFL lights: Philip Rivers. At 44 years old, after years away from the league, Rivers walked onto the field as a living memory. Fans weren't there to study standings or playoff math. They were there to see if a fairy tale could get one more chapter. A former franchise quarterback, written off by time, coming back from coaching high school football and suddenly standing on a Monday Night Football field again. That alone was enough to put everyone on their feet. And Rivers rewarded that belief immediately. On the opening drive, he threw a touchdown pass that looked exactly like the old days, a soft floating ball with perfect placement. In that moment, the stadium believed that experience could still beat age, believed that rhythm doesn't disappear, believed that this night belonged to Philip Rivers. That feeling carried through the first half. Rivers read the defense well, delivered accurate throws, and ran the offense with confidence. 2 first-half touchdown passes kept Indianapolis competitive and kept the crowd locked into the story. And in doing so, it distracted almost everyone from one crucial truth. The San Francisco 49ers did not come to Indianapolis to play a supporting role in a nostalgia tour. While the spotlight stayed fixed on Rivers, Brock Purdy was doing the most dangerous thing a quarterback can do in the NFL: controlling a game quietly. Purdy didn't need early highlights. He didn't need 50-yard bombs or dramatic reactions. He needed Kyle Shanahan and a clear plan. After a season ravaged by injuries, losing Nick Bosa, losing Fred Warner, losing core defensive pillars, the 49ers were no longer built to dominate with defense alone. They had to win with structure, precision, and offensive intelligence. And that's exactly what they did. Every San Francisco drive felt calculated. Pre-snap motion exposed coverages. Play action pulled linebackers out of position. Christian McCaffrey forced the defense to stretch horizontally. George Kittle and Juwan Jennings attacked space underneath and behind the linebackers. Nothing rushed, nothing frantic. Every play designed to chip away at Indianapolis piece by piece. By the third quarter, the difference became undeniable. When Purdy threw his 4th touchdown pass early in the second half, the energy inside the stadium shifted. The Colts weren't finished, but they were chasing. And chasing a well-called offense is where games start slipping away. Every time Indianapolis responded, Shanahan answered with a composed, efficient drive that refused to give momentum back. That's where the story truly split in two. On one side was Philip Rivers, fighting to keep the dream alive for just a few more minutes. On the other was Brock Purdy, completely uninterested in the dream. For Purdy, this wasn't a tribute night. This was an NFL game that had to be won. And then came the moment that ended all illusion. Under pressure to create one more miracle, Rivers made his first major mistake of the night. The pass went directly into the hands of linebacker D. Winters. No deflection, no bad luck. Winters caught it cleanly and ran it all the way back for a pick six. The stadium went silent. The fairy tale didn't fade. It stopped abruptly. From that point on, there was no debate. Brock Purdy finished the night with 5 touchdown passes, not because the Colts completely collapsed, but because the 49ers executed at a level Indianapolis could not match. This wasn't an emotional win. It was a systematic one. The final score read 48-27, but the number alone doesn't explain what happened. What mattered was how this game exposed the reality of both teams. For the Colts, it was a reflection of their entire season. A strong start, moments that made people believe, then injuries, defensive breakdowns, and games where they couldn't maintain control. Rivers played well, but the NFL doesn't reward sentiment. It rewards teams that dominate all 4 quarters. For the 49ers, this win said everything. It proved they aren't dependent on one defensive superstar. It showed that Kyle Shanahan can reshape a team's identity when circumstances demand it. And most importantly, it showed that Brock Purdy is more than a caretaker quarterback. He can be the engine. The impact of this game stretched beyond the field. The Colts' loss helped clinch playoff spots for the Bills, Jaguars, and Chargers, reshaping the AFC picture in a single night. Meanwhile, San Francisco stayed firmly in the race for the NFC West and even the number 1 seed, something that felt impossible earlier in the season given the injury list. But when the night ended, what lingered most was the contrast. One player representing the past, trying to prove time hadn't beaten him. Another representing the present and possibly the future, calmly proving the NFL never waits. Both had their moments. Only one controlled the game. And that leads to the bigger question. Can the 49ers continue to cover defensive flaws with offensive precision when the playoffs arrive? Can Brock Purdy maintain this level of composure against elite postseason defenses? And for the Colts, was this loss simply the closing chapter of a feel-good story, or the moment they realized something deeper must change? Because in the NFL, emotion can open the night, but only execution decides who gets to write the next chapter. What happens when the feel-good comeback steals the spotlight and the scoreboard quietly tells a completely different story? Because Monday night wasn't really about a game. It was about belief, about nostalgia, about whether football still has room for a 44-year-old quarterback who was coaching high school kids just months ago, and whether anyone noticed the team that was actually shaping the future right in front of them. Lucas Oil Stadium felt different from the opening kickoff. The crowd wasn't buzzing because of playoff math or seeding scenarios. They were buzzing because Philip Rivers was back. 5 years after his last NFL snap, the old gunslinger jogged onto the field, crowd roaring, cameras locked in. It felt like a movie scene. One last ride, one more chance to prove the game hadn't passed him by. And early on, Rivers delivered. His first touchdown throw brought the stadium to its feet. Floating ball, perfect placement, classic Rivers. For a moment, it looked like time had bent just enough to let the storybook ending breathe. He kept dealing through the first half, sharp reads, confident rhythm, 2 touchdown passes, and the Colts looked alive again. The narrative was writing itself in real time. But while everyone was watching the past, the future was quietly dismantling Indianapolis on the other sideline. Brock Purdy wasn't the headline. He wasn't the feel-good story. He didn't get the dramatic intro or the cinematic buildup. He just kept completing passes. He kept the chains moving, and drive by drive, he was setting a trap. Kyle Shanahan knew exactly what he was doing. This 49ers team has been battered all season, losing Nick Bosa, losing Fred Warner, injuries everywhere. And yet, here they were, still winning, still dangerous, still alive in the race for the NFC's top seed. Shanahan didn't chase the spotlight. He chased matchups, quick throws, play action, tight ends in space, McCaffrey stressing defenses horizontally, everything designed to make Indy defend every blade of grass. By the time the third quarter rolled around, the tone shifted. When Purdy threw his 4th touchdown early in the second half, the air changed. What had felt like a heartwarming comeback story suddenly felt fragile. The Colts were still hanging around. Rivers even helped cut the deficit in the fourth quarter, but the sense of control was gone. Every time Indianapolis leaned forward, San Francisco pushed back harder. And that's when the night revealed what it really was. Purdy wasn't just playing well, he was having one of those nights. 5 touchdown passes, calm in the pocket, no panic, no hero ball, just execution. The kind that breaks defenses psychologically because there's nothing reckless to punish. Then came the play that ended the illusion. Rivers, pressing for one more push, made his first truly costly mistake. The ball went straight into the hands of linebacker D. Winters, who took it the other way. A long, brutal pick-six that silenced the stadium and slammed the door shut. The comeback story didn't fade out. It snapped. That moment didn't just add points, it erased hope. By the end of the night, the final score read 48-27. Purdy had 5 touchdowns. San Francisco had complete control. And the Colts had another reminder that vibes don't win games. Execution does. For Indianapolis, this loss hurt deeper than most. It wasn't just about Rivers. It was about a season that once started 7-1 and slowly unraveled. Injuries, defensive breakdowns, a run game that cooled off. The problems weren't new. This game just exposed them under the brightest lights. And the fallout went far beyond Indy. With the Colts' defeat, playoff spots were clinched across the AFC. The Bills, the Jaguars, the Chargers. One game, one loss, reshaping the postseason picture. Meanwhile, the 49ers quietly strengthened their grip on the NFC race, still chasing a division title and possibly the number 1 seed, something that seemed unthinkable earlier in the year given the injuries. That's the part that gets lost. Everyone will remember Rivers' return, and they should. It was fun. It was emotional. It reminded fans why football stories matter. But the real takeaway was Brock Purdy reminding the league that the 49ers aren't surviving, they're dangerous. That Shanahan can still build an offense that overwhelms teams, and that in the NFL, sentiment only lasts until the next snap. So now the question shifts forward. Can the 49ers keep covering defensive cracks with offensive brilliance when January arrives? Can Purdy sustain this level against elite playoff defenses? And for the Colts, was this loss just the end of a feel-good chapter, or the moment they realize something deeper needs to change? Because one story warmed the heart, the other one may decide how far a team goes when it matters most.